but this is happening, and this is invisible to everyone.
Yes, yes.
The
Please start.
dynamic.
Please start the presentation.
I am starting it. Are you not hearing me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you fine.
You can hear me fine.
Yes, yes. We're good. We're good.
Okay, the basics of this nanotech presentation is on the bio absorption of the nanotech. And the basis of this is the hydrogel, which has just recently been recognized as being a toxin in the body and coating the body. The hydrogel is clear and it is falling from the geoengineering. It's also in the food supply. Now, the hydrogel, once it gets into once it's in the glands, it gets activated by chitosan. Now, this first picture is showing how it falls on the body from the geoengineering, and it off gases up to 17,000 times its weight in water. So when the glands produce the hydrogel, it is activated by chitosan, which is a derivative of seafood and is used in the food supply. This causes the ligands to go into a cross-link formation. And that holds the water in the spaces in between. And as that comes to the skin surface through the gland ducts, it dries out and it forms a thin plastic coating that starts to morph as the molecular structure is rearranged by the nanobots into a tighter grid. And eventually this hydrogel, combined with the programming in the programmable magnetic carbon, will eventually morph into graphene diamond in the body. And these are RF Wi-Fi signal transceivers. Everything I'm telling you is substantiated in many websites that I have via the documents that have been released from the labs about their new discovery. And the chitosan and gelatin coat the body and it caps the glands so that the glands don't drain and it gets stuck underneath the hydrogel coating on the body. These are some of the crystals that form in the hydrogel that I've extracted in the 12 years that I've been pulling the nanotech from me. I first discovered it in 2011 and have been 100% devoted to this 18 hours a day. Everything that I have found, I've been able to validate through the lab reports. And there's no doubt that this is going on. We are being transhumanized because the hydrogel and carbon are an aspect of the RNA attaching to our DNA. And the combined genomes are producing these nanotech nodes and transhumanism morphology in the body. This yellow mess here is the seepage from the glands after the glands have been plugged. but the body's movement still cracks it, and the glands seep out the thickened hydrogel. And this forms around the gland ducts. And I have a picture down here of the gland capping crystal. This is graphene oxide. And this is capping the glands. And the yellow sponge here is forming around those gland ducts as the hydrogel seeps out of them. The morphologies of these has such a wide range because the programmable magnetic carbon holds a basic build program in it. And the quantum dots seem to have alternate programs that combine and morph into different types of nanonodes. Plant genomes, seafood genomes are showing in the structure of the nanotech nodes that I've been extracting over the years. This is a gland cap of the hydrogel that is crystallized into the graphene diamond. If there is any doubt, and there is a doubt in everybody, because nobody wants to believe that this is really happening. And their first choice is to discount it as being ridiculous, even though all the documents show this is exactly what they're doing. And everything that I show is exactly what I have experienced and documented, taking the nanotech off the body layer by layer, because as it shrinks, it folds over. In the top picture, this is how it seals the pockets. Let me go back here. Where the nanotech gets in the hydrogel pockets, because as it shrinks, it pulls the tissues into rows, like a folding hand fan. The nanotech particulates fall inside and are encapsulated in the hydrogel. This isolates them because there's an analgesic property to the hydrogel, apart from a camouflage aspect to it. And a simple $30 USB scope. You can order from Amazon and have tomorrow. If you start looking at your skin, you'll see it. You'll see red fibers, blue fibers, and the more you look into it, the more you're going to see. The hydrogel down here, I'll show you. This is some thin layering of hydrogel. Very thin. But you can see that there are multiple layers folding on top of each other here. And you can also see the crystalline fiber optic cables that are connecting all the nanonodes. Now, people have been talking about, and it's a distraction, that they're going, Elon Musk is going to put a chip in your brain and attach you directly to the AI computer. No need. The Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi, the RF frequencies are all picked up by these crystals that are attached to a crystalline grid across the body. If I can find a picture of it here. There's a picture of my foot bottom shedding. The oil will soften the hydrogel that is plasticized like leather on the bottom of the feet. And when that softens up and starts coming off, this is what's revealed underneath. These are the particulates that are broken up, but they all link together with those crystalline rails to the crystals and the nervous system throughout the body. This is a peel beside the twisted lab picture here on the left. This is a lip peel that is normally thought of by people as dry lips. If you put your dry tissue underneath, if you can pick off any dry tissue and put it under the scope, you'll see that it is not tissue at all. It is solidified hydrogel. I have been able to formulate something on the quantum level that breaks it all up and dissolves it. And now I'm targeting stopping the hydrogel from thickening and forming the cross lattice grid that causes the formation of the gland seepage into crystalline fiber optic cables connected to the heavy loaded areas are where the gland pockets are. In the waist, the armpits, the neck, the head is the worst. It's been falling on our heads all our life. Scope your scalp and see some of the material that is layered on top, and those you can see too that you'll have hairs that look white, but they're actually crystalline. You'll see that under a scope. The scope 1,000 times magnification is the scopes that I've been using for this over the years. At the end of this document, and I sent a link to Ashok for the pictures. It's at the bottom of this document. And it's also on my website. I am banned by Google, shadow banned, but DuckDuckGo still brings up pages of all my sites. And I had to build several sites because to categorize certain aspects of the assembly and what's going on with the morphology. So those 20,000 pictures are of some pretty spectacular looking nano assemblies. This is what it does in the body to a wound. And I've witnessed this, and I've taken off scars that I've had, white scars that I've had for 30 years by taking off the biofilm, and there was no damage underneath that white scar. You couldn't even tell that there was a cut there before or that there was a white scar on top of that area once it's removed. But this is a cut that I had. And after just a couple of days, the hydrogel is forming the crystalline rods that will cross the wound, attach to the other side, start to dry, and fill it with the white hydrogel that you can see at the top corner there. The crystalline strands will pull the wound together. The backfill polymer will close it. And that's the nanotech in the body. And that's what it's doing. That's what I've witnessed. That's what I've filmed in 12 years. And I've been on this 18 hours a day. And it's invisible and it's camouflaged. It changes what you see with the different refraction of light. The stuff is very high tech and it's unstable. This is what appears to be happening, is that once they get the nano embedded with the programming codes, that it doesn't stop there. There continues to be a mutation of that. And I'm suspecting that because of the plant genome seed pods I've extracted and what looks like parts of seafood shells. I pull out graphene diamonds, big carbon nodes. As I say, you can see the pictures at that link. And I just want to touch on the spike protein, because this connects with the RNA. And the spike protein is how the RNA can attach to our DNA. And I posted recent documents in this last week, if you go to my sites, on how the crystalline fibers are attaching to the DNA, and they're using that to transmit signals to the body, the organs, and the basic programming of the DNA structure. On the left here, the right, the B is the mutation of the protein, because the protein ligands assemble when needed by a cell, and they only assemble in a certain manner and formation for a specific protein that the cell is asking for, and nothing else. No other protein can enter the cell at that time. So they need to mutate it, and that's where the spike protein is being mutated. This healing of this wound that I was showing you here is indicative of the super soldier program. The crystals receiving and these are the fibers. This is a lab report on the fibers, and I show you the same thing on the skin pictures that I've taken. This has been going on since the 60s, since I've been born. I've had issues because of it in childhood and lingering issues, pains that were from that removed when I removed the nanotech from my body. So far, it's taken 4 years to dissolve this and get it off of me, but I've already shed 20 years of aging. And the nanotech and the crystals are depleting the frequencies and the energies in the body. These crystals are transceivers connected to our electrical system. You have Wi-Fi and you have 5G. Li-Fi, everything is transmitting and receiving the signals. And I suspect that maybe that the people that can see the auras, because their eyes are sensitive enough to see them, of the human body, are actually seeing the leakage of the life force energy from the crystals in the body. And at 1% of accumulation a year, taking 1% more of our energy each year, by 80 years old, you're pretty much burned out. So that is what is happening with this here. This shows the plant genomes being incorporated into the nanotech. This is the 3D construction. It can build in monosheeting, two-dimensional structures and three-dimensional structures, and possibly even four if there is an interdimensional connection to this with the frequencies. Now, if you are not aware of D-Wave computers, it's in my area and I am very aware of it. The frequencies that they're operating on are interdimensional. And that's where they're getting their information from. So they are opening portals with it to be able to transmit their frequencies into the other dimensions and get their spontaneous answers in this dimension. And the basis of the D-Wave computer is that it's in two states at the same time, which is basically the unmanifested all potentiality God particle before it comes into this dimension or this realm, where it has the potential to be anything. And that's what the nanotech is. And as it gets into our frequency realm, the programming codes are put into it that stabilize it and tell it what it's supposed to be. With the nanotech, that stabilization is not happening and is continuing to morph. Picture shows you how that grid can form, the yellow sponge grid. And let's see what else I can touch on here. There's so much complexity to this, as you can well imagine, that the only thing that I could really focus on in the presentation was to show how it is being loaded into the body and what it's doing and how it's coating the body through the gland secretions and the hydrogel formation in the glands. And the chitosan being the activator for it. And I suggest that you net search Bryan 396. That is the moniker that I publish on the net under. And I chose that because when I had discovered this and started putting it on the net in 2012, I knew that I would have my system shut down and I would be targeted. And I was. And I was off the net till 2014 when I came back up and started bringing it up again. 2016, it started to be seen. 2020 with the vax, it got noticed. And now it is mainstream, where a lot of the net is talking about the hydrogels and what it's doing. And the environmental impact of this is that if the hydrogels are being geoengineered in the sky and picking up 17,000 times its weight in water, and then directed with frequencies of a HARP antenna to an area where it can release, that would account for 90 liters of rain in 24 hours in Spain. 90 liters. That's not natural. The atmospheric rivers could easily be formed using the hydrogel and the frequency grids that they have set up. So I'm not looking for anything other than to get the people who are working in the biomedical field with the nanotech to see that this is happening and possibly stop it, because it would appear that the injection with the various different types of vaccines for the COVID was actually an experiment to see how to get the graphene oxide connected to the brain synapses. The immune system is not allowing this to connect. I see that myself. It's all surface mount. Internally, it's from the air and from the food. Externally, when I get down to pink skin, there is no damage to the tissue, except in pockets that have been buried for over 50 years, where the hydrogel has been used by the nanotech and there is no more lining it against the tissue, then it starts to consume the tissue. And at that point, it can enter the body and cause the cancers. Because it's got access to the DNA, and the immune system goes crazy when it sees this stuff. I have witnessed this with the programmable carbon nodes that I pull out. When they sit on top of the tissue, I can see a crater underneath it where the tissue is pulling away because of the frequency. The magnetic programmable carbon frequencies that are in that. So the frequencies are embedded in it and are affecting our body, our nervous system, our health, and many things that are thought to be an ingrown nail, for example, is the polymer that's built up under the nail shrinking, and it wraps the nail into the tissue. And that is what causes an ingrown nail. I have a picture of a blackhead that I took with the scope, and it looks like the tail of a fish coming out. It is a carbon fullerene. And for over 60 years, I thought it was a blackhead pimple. So I strongly suggest you spend $30, get a 1,000 times mag USB scope, plug and play, it's easy enough to use, and have a look at what is going on in your body. Because I could talk till the cows come home on this, and I'm about done with it. Because we're at that stage of saturation where the health is failing. They've increased the loading of us over the last several years, 10 years. But there has been an aerosol spray program since the 50s. I've chased it down, done the research, so have many other people. This is not conspiracy theory. It is actual conspiracy actions that are being done by people, because there's more than one person involved in doing this. And a conspiracy only takes two people. So please check out the information. Do check out some of my websites. They're self-explanatory. They're graphics with all the lab links, details. You cannot look at the material and not believe it is happening or see it for yourself on close inspection. And this is the morphology of transhumanism that is happening right now with this new reset that's going on. Time is short, and I don't even know if there is enough time left to change any of this. We're in the midst of it. It's unfolding at this moment. The elections are all part of this too. And we have this opportunity. I hope that the people that are more familiar and working with the nanotech will investigate this and raise the alarm that's needed to stop the extermination of the human race into a transhuman controlled by frequencies radiated at the crystals in the body. And the only thing that's holding back right now is the graphene oxide connection to the synapses in the brain, so they have the direct connection. The physical aspects, you're hearing that all over the place about people saying they're targeted. They are. It's the frequencies. They can zero in on your specific personal DNA code because no one else has your DNA code. And once they have it via blood supply or whatever, anybody, 23andMe, Billy Gates, Elon Musk, all these people are pushing for the AI controlling the masses. They have your DNA signature. They can target you directly. And this is another thing that should concern you deeply, is that once this takes to your DNA, then you are a patented object. And whoever has altered your DNA and owns that pattern then owns you legally as cattle. Because you're no longer human and you got their DNA genome in you. And like Percy Smicer from Saskatchewan, where Monsanto's GMO product pollen blew onto his field, Monsanto won. He had to pay them, and he lost his crop. So the legal precedent has already been set in court. And we're that close to being owned. So shocked, I hope that you are, enough to have a serious look at the information that I've provided you. Because it is true, I would not be going through all of this if there was any doubt in my mind or in any missing dots to connect everything. Every dot, every aspect of this is connected. I've covered it from A to Z. So your disbelief will be your demise. And there's not much more I can do about that. And honestly, I'm tired of repeating all this and it falling on deaf ears. There's enough of it out there now that people are seeing. A lot of them are trying to steal my information and make it theirs, and they're distorting it and screwing it up. So I'm basically getting to that point where that's it, I'm done. I did 12 years of this. I've got terabytes. I've got more information than anybody ever needs. It's there. I warned you. Anybody doesn't want to listen. I'm sorry, I tried. And that's the best that I can do. And I hope that I was able to reach someone through this presentation and that it will spark some action in the right direction to correct what is happening to us right now. So I'll stop now and surrender it back to you.